Hi, everyone. Welcome to this YouTube edition of Side Retired, the MLB podcast. It is Dylan, as you can see to my left or right, depending on how this Zoom records. Dovid Halpert is with us. He is previously known as the mystery man of Side Retired, where he was known for giving amazingly bold predictions that turned out to be true. We won't dig into those now, but if you want to go way back to our bold predictions at the beginning of the 2021 season and some at the beginning of 2022, you can see that they're actually coming true. So Dovid, even though he has these weird predictions that at the time can seem like, what is he thinking? They've turned out to be true a lot. So we figured with Dovid going off to camp in a couple of days, actually, at this point, he might actually be at camp by the time this is recorded or released, but Dovid's going to be with us. He's going to give his all-star predictions. He's going to give his division predictions, and he will also give some bold trade predictions because he is going to be away at camp when those different events happen. Dovid, I'll let you introduce yourself to our listeners. Say hi, anything you want to say before we get into this.
Hey guys, I'm Dovid Halpert. I make for Side Retired birthday shout out videos for different MLB players. I'm 21 years old and I'm having a great time helping you guys out.
Sounds good. So let's get into the American League because as we can see on your hat, you're a big Yankees fan. Tell us who you have and a little explanation for why for each position with the American League starters.
So for catcher, I pick Jose Trevino of the Yankees, being a big Yankee fan, and he's been a clutch hitter at key moments for the Yankees this year. I can see him starting. For first base, I pick Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's one of the leaders in homers. Gleyber Torres, I'm a Yankees fan, like mentioned, so I feel like he deserves an all-star chance. I pick Rafael Devers for third base. He's been helping out the Red Sox, doing everything he can to lead the team offensively. Tim Anderson for the White Sox, one of the best shortstops in the game right now, in my opinion. For the outfield, I got Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, and Randy Arozarena. Judge is killing the ball with homers. Trout has been doing everything he can, as usual, to lead his Angels. And for Randy Arozarena, he's really been improving and continue improving on Tampa Bay. DH Ohtani, we'll see if he pitches. We'll see, of course, he bats. He can do both. And the starter is Alex Manoah of the Blue Jays. Been doing very well in the rotation for Toronto this year.
Awesome. And then obviously, if you want to check out mine, Jack, and James's all-star ballots, you can go down below onto our actual Side Retired podcast on Apple, Google, and iHeart. Our all-star lineup for the American League and National League episodes both should be there. Let's look at your National League. Go through the same format. Take us around your diamond. Who you got?
For the catcher, I got Wilson Contreras. He's been doing everything for the Cubs. He's been there since they won the World Series, the last piece of that infield. He might be a trade piece at some point, so he deserves an all-star start again one more time for the Cubs. Alonso been killing it for the Mets as the first base. He should start. Jazz Chisholm has been one of the best Marlins this year. I think he's deserved of the spot at second. Nolan Arenado.
Uh-oh, we lost your audio for a second. Hold on 1 second. We'll be right back because Dovid can't hear us, but I can't hear Dovid. 1 second. We'll be right back. All right, Dovid is back with us. Third base, Dovid.
For the third base in the National League, Arenado, absolute defensive beast and hitting slugger for the Cardinals. He deserves it. Shortstop, Trey Turner. He's on the Dodgers this year. He's been doing very well for them. I think he deserves a spot. And speaking of Trey Turner, birthday shout out for him coming soon.
Like to hear
very
that.
soon. Mm-hmm.
All righty.
The outfielders, I got Ronald Acuna Jr., Mookie Betts, and Marte of the Mets. Marte has been doing everything he can to help get on base for the Mets. Mookie Betts, great Dodger player, and for Acuna Jr., a very good bat on the Braves and very good outfielder. And for the DH, right now Bryce Harper is injured and Albert Pujols is in his last year. I think why not give Albert Pujols one more All-Star start if Harper can't be there. And the starter, I want to see Marlins starter Sandy Alcantara, however you pronounce his name, as the starting pitcher for the NL.
Sounds good. And that is a good balance of young players in Alcantara and designated hitter Albert Pujols in his final scene. You did have a couple divisional predictions as well. I know the AL East, NL Central, and NL East are three divisions you want to touch upon with us as you see some fun things happening there. Go at it with whichever order you want to see it.
So for first up, because I'm a Yankees fan, I'll go with the AL East. Out of the 5 teams, 4 of them has winning records. I see all 4 with the winning records, which includes the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and the Rays. No matter how they make it, they're all making the playoffs, in my opinion. Yankees will get the AL East. The other 3 will get the wild card.
Sounds good.
For the NL Central, right now, Milwaukee, as we speak, has the top spot. But I think the Cardinals of St. Louis will get the top spot by the end of the year. For the NL East, it's going to be close, but I think the Mets will pull it off, winning the division by 5 games or more. And the first team to be eliminated in all of baseball will be the Cincinnati Reds. The first team to clinch will be the Yankees.
All righty. That makes a lot of sense. Oh, yep. I know where you're about to go, but I will quickly chime in and say those make a lot of sense. The Reds have struggled, but we'll see. I'm not sure our resident Reds fan, Harry Kilman, is going to like to hear that when he hears this episode, but we'll see. Dovid, now what everyone's wondering, World Series prediction.
So in 2000, the Yankees and Mets played the Subway Series World Series. I can see that happening again this year. Only difference is it will go 7 games, and I predict, because I'm a Yankees fan, somehow the Yankees will win in 7. But I think like the 2000 series, every game will be very close.
All righty.
In run differential.
Sounds good. And the 2000 World Series, obviously, as you can see my hat, I was not a huge fan of that, but I wasn't born. But obviously, looking back at those highlights, Mets lost in 5 games, and it seemed like the Yankees, although the scores might have been close, as David's saying, it seemed from the get-go that the Yankees were going to beat the Mets. So hopefully the Mets can put up a fight if indeed a World Series rematch is to occur in 2022, which it seems like they might be on collision course for that to occur. The final thing, and I have not heard these yet, David's other predictions he did send me earlier in the day, these 3 bold trade predictions for the MLB trade deadline. I have not heard them. They could be crazy. They could be outlandish. I could agree 100% with them. So David, go one by one. You'll do one. I'll give my reaction. You'll do the second. I'll give reaction, and so on. Give us your first bold trade prediction for the deadline.
Well, first off, one of the teams that surprisingly is in the hunt for the AL East wild card is the Cleveland Guardians. As I look at their rotation, they don't really have a pitcher. I think they need pitching help in the rotation. Okay. So I would suggest, because the Marlins, I don't think the Marlins are going to make a bounce back and somehow get back into the hunt. If they could, I would like to see the Guardians try to grab Sandy Alcantara.
Wow.
In some way to help improve their rotation and chances for the wild card.
All right. That is interesting. I think down the line, the Marlins do have Alcantara signed to a massive extension through 2027. However, the Cleveland Guardians do have a lot of prospects, whether it's Nolan Jones, Gabriel Arias, Owen Miller, that could potentially be enticing to the Marlins. Do I see this trade happening? No. But at the same time, you've made some crazy predictions on this podcast that turned out to be true, including Jorge Soler being a World Series MVP, and that turned out to be true out of nowhere. So interesting take. I agree with the Guardians need pitching, and it wouldn't shock me if they acquire a starting pitcher, maybe even Pablo Lopez of the Marlins. But all right, trade number 2.
I'm a big Yankees fan. In my opinion, the Yankees already have enough pitching with the bullpen and the rotation. If they need an extra bench player, I would try and grab John Birdie of the Marlins because he can steal bases. He's that all-around type of player, and he can be a perfect bench help. So I would try to trade someone for John Birdie.
Now, speaking of which, because the Mets just played the Marlins in a 3-game series, and John Birdie's the definition of a pesky ball player that gets on base and steals a ton of bases. And I think that's the type of person. The Yankees are very hit or miss with their offense. We've seen this past weekend, they went 16 consecutive innings without a hit. John Birdie's definitely an interesting piece. The question would be, where does he play on a day-to-day basis? Because the Yankees' need is probably going to be in the outfield, but Birdie has played outfield in the past. He could be an upgraded version of what the Yankees did with Tim LeCastro last offseason, or last trade deadline season. But David, I will give you props. That is an interesting and solid and realistic target for the Yankees potentially to get John Birdie at the trade deadline. Obviously, it might cost a bit, but the Yankees are one of those teams that do have a prospect system that could afford it. So John Birdie to the Yankees, according to Dovid, at the deadline. I do actually like that trade. Much better than your Alcantara one. But third prediction.
This is for your Mets. Only if they do not get Wilson Contreras, because there is a lot of rumors that he could be traded. The Mets, in my opinion, need one more bat to help them fight as far as they could.
Very true.
The Phillies might go down eventually because they've been up and down with Joe Girardi getting fired and whatnot. Maybe Kyle Schwarber can be a tough piece to add.
The only thing I would say about that one is that the Phillies just signed Schwarber this past offseason. So it would be a little bit of a signaling of defeat if they were to trade him less than 6 months after signing him. But I think I will agree with your point that the Mets are going to be one of those teams that's going to need to acquire a bat at this trade deadline if they're going to want to compete, because as we're seeing, their lineup does have a couple gaping holes at designated hitter position, that catcher position. I think two names that I would look at: Christian Walker of the Diamondbacks, CJ Cron of the Colorado Rockies. I know Mets fans have a love-hate relationship with this guy, but Jesse Winker of the Mariners. Those could be interesting names that I think the Mets could realistically pursue. Schwarber definitely fits the mold of guy that I would love to have with the Mets. And I even thought this past offseason that would be a great DH for the Mets to have. I just don't know if the Phillies
they can sign them right, get him right now, right?
Exactly, with the Phillies having just signed him. But I definitely love all of David's All-Star predictions at the beginning of this episode. All of David's playoff and World Series. Actually agreed with pretty much all of those. That's definitely a good sign for us. Or we're both crazy. We'll figure it out eventually. And your trade predictions. I love that John Birdie one. We're going to cut that one up. Nice little post it on the YouTube and see if all of a sudden that actually happens. We're going to say the mystery man, Dovid Halpert himself, has once
strikes again. Yeah.
So, of course, this is not the end of Dovid. Dovid will be going to camp where he won't have that much access to internet for the next couple of weeks. However,
but I'll still try to get some birthday shout out videos once a week. So
definitely make sure to subscribe to the Side Retired YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and the website, as well as the regular podcast, which you can find on Google Podcast, Apple, and iHeartRadio. There will be lots of different content out there as we're sort of rebranding a little bit. This is a sneak preview of that. You will see in an upcoming episode next week more details on the future of Side Retired. A lot of great things coming. Dovid will still be with us doing birthday shout-outs, I believe, every Saturday. Dovid, unless there's anything else you want to add, say hi, bye to the listeners, anything you want to say.
I'll see you guys for the next birthday shout out. Thanks for watching this episode.
And I'll let you say the catchphrase to end the episode.
And with that, the side is retired.
Perfect.